ignigma.com. And I want to beseech all of the people who voted for Joe Biden, Jim Crow Joe, Crime Bill Joe, who went and made him president because he told you that you weren't black. He promised you no policies. He promised you nothing. He just said you ain't black. Vote for me. N-word. Now, because you did that, if you don't go to my website, ignigma.com, you ain't black. You're a disgrace. But the purpose of this video, the main objective of this video right here, I want to talk about your leaders that you follow, that you support, that you go to the room to listen to. Instead of them promoting a presidential candidate who will have your best interest at heart. In 2021, these people are talking about the Gullah Geechee Wars of the 1800s. They're talking about things that happened 200, 300, 400 years ago that is irrelevant to today and could actually be fantasy, could actually be false. And you fools thought the presidential election meant nothing. But I just listened to this guy that I follow on Black Site, but I always tell him you voted for Biden, you supported Biden. You the other lady in ATL that looked like Beavis and Butthead talking about Biden and we be good. All you black people, even Nasheed, talking about Trump is this, Biden is that. Now look at you idiots. You idiots should have been using your platform to inform people about Biden, his crime bill, his anti-so-called integration policies, his support of Ku Klux Klan members, his condescending against Clarence Thomas solely because he was a black Supreme Court judge candidate selected by Bush Sr. and many other things that none of you people discussed. You was only concerned about ADOS being a descendant of a slave that you don't even know if he's even true. You don't know who you are. Now, you've been studying all of these books. John Henry Clark. You've been studying, who else? Antioch, Sheikh Antioch. You've been studying, who else? All of these scholars with all of these DVDs, all of these books, for all of these many, many years, right? And none of them have given you enough information to determine who you are or give you a plan of action as to what to do about who you are, except one person, and you people think he was a lunatic, and that was the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He had the message of the black man and what the black man must do. Worldwide respect, international trade, temples and schools set up in nearly every city and state in America. But he told you he was from the lost tribe of Shabazz. You thought that was crazy. He told you that we created the Caucasian, we created the white man. But we see right now, these so-called Negro females, they're actually grafting out the black community. They're using the same principle that not even just the Negro female, the so-called talented 10 is grafting out the so-called black community because they believe that 90% of us shouldn't exist. And the 10% that have survived after the cleansing will integrate into this utopia, into this the quest of the golden fleece mentioned by W.E.B. Du Bois in his book Souls of Black Folks, in which he tried to sell the souls of black folks to Caucasians in the 1900s. He said all the money, all the resources should go to the exceptional men, 10%, you black Greeks. And you're working to bring this about by sacrificing the so-called 90% because of your philosophy. The philosophies you've been studying have been useless and detrimental. Studying about the 1600s, some crazy white lady who chopped up bodies, how was that relevant to right now? How can you go and make sure any of that is even true? Even if it was true, how is that going to make sure that black, so-called blacks are not put in captivity, are not ethnic cleansed, or the continuous ethnic cleansing won't stop? And you hated Trump. Trump passed the First Step Act, which released thousands of people from prison who was given extraneous, extensive sentences for drug crimes because of Joe Biden's crime bill. And you idiots, see, Joe Biden is working to reverse that because too many people got released. People who had life in prison, in federal prison, was released, and state prison was released. Quiet as kept, and you so-called black leaders, because the reason this is your modus operandi, you thrive off of misery and poverty, and you tell people I have the solution. You're a pimps. All you gotta do is watch my tape, come to my lecture, pay that money, and you will get closer to the solution. This is church. You have no solution. You're just living lavishly during the poverty. Because we always have extremely wealthy so-called Negroes. Madam C.J. Walker took advantage of the so-called black woman's self-hatred because of their nappy hair, and she made the straightening comb so they could look good doing oppression and poverty. Perms, so you can look good, dress good, but you're not focusing on eliminating the threat, the so-called white supremacy that is your bread and butter. You need white supremacy. You need these things to continue getting money while everybody else is suffering, getting brutalized and murdered while you live in your big giant house in your Caucasian community, talking about black power and white supremacy. You have delivered zero solutions, zero plans of action. The only plans of action that we have seen were organic, spontaneous, from the grassroots, not led by you Negroes who've been exploiting and getting this money off of this community for many, many years. And you actually allowed Joe Biden with your massive platforms. If you combine all you influential so-called Negroes together, you could have changed this election. You could have, but you didn't. You allowed Joe Biden to get in there, the wolf in sheep clothing, to get into the hen's den, the chicken coop. You did this. You're responsible for Joe Biden to be in there, you so-called Negroes. But I need y'all to go to my website. I have actual products. Like, I don't beg nobody. I don't want your donations. I don't want your super chats, none of that. I have an actual business that I've been doing for over 15 years. If you want to really support somebody, support their business, or not even just if you don't want to support my business, I don't care. But if I have books, literature, independent. I used to start off like these Negroes, focus solely on I've never been like these niggas, but to just discuss the problem from a perspective of weakness. Or you could discuss a problem with the perspective of strength, like, this is the problem, this is how we gonna get rid of this problem. That's the difference. Or you gonna say this is the problem and we just end it, ain't nothing we can do about it. We're just gonna feel good talking about it and knowing about it, but you don't have in there a way out. Even in the art of war, Sun Tzu always said, leave a path out for the enemy. Now you think the so-called white supremacy don't follow that same strategy? Who study Hannibal, who study Sun Tzu, who studied these great military generals over the past, even Ramses, one of the greatest military generals of all time. You always give the opponent a way to retreat. There's always an out, a back door, in a positive sense. But you don't look at that. You make people think it's impossible to get out this situation, and we're stuck, and it's just set in stone. You forget that we have free will, and this world is massive. But you don't teach this. You don't teach these troops natural law. We have natural law, and we have eternal law. You're focused on man's law, which is the lowest in the chain. We have eternal law. We have rights over this entire universe that cannot be hindered. In the Constitution, they even mention that, ordained by our Creator, that are inalienable. But you people give a person a sense of hopelessness, that this white supremacy is impenetrable, or it has to be acknowledged, or it has to be embraced or participated with. We don't have to participate with anything that we don't want to, because we have free will, and nobody can force you to do anything Even if they force you to, with the threat of force, pain, misery, inflicting this, you still can say no. You still can say no. But that's about it. And go to my website, ignigma.com, and purchase all of my books. Or You Ain't Black, like Joe Biden was able to tell you, silly Negroes. Roland Martin, bowling ball head Martin allowed that man to get away with that. Charlemagne and them let that man say that and didn't criticize him every day until the election. But you Negroes, we know what's going on with y'all. All y'all care about is getting y'all own personal money. Even the Nasheed dude, all of the videos he made every Sunday after Joe Biden said that should have had some type of social commentary about Joe Biden in a negative aspect. But that silly Negro was too busy talking about buck breaking, telling you that you were buck breaking, buck broken. What good is that gonna do anybody, knowing that they're buck broken? Silly. That's about it.